You're listening to KTWR, utilizing DRM technology. This is KTWR, Aganya Guam, speaking hope to the world because hope knows no barriers.
Welcome to Jaron and a continuing verse-by-verse study in the book of Galatians, taught by Dr. James M. Cece. Pastor Cece, president of Jaron Ministries International, has served for more than 50 years as a pastor, Bible teacher, conference speaker, and a mentor to other pastors and Christian leaders throughout the world. Today's message is part 2 of a message entitled The Gospel That Isn't, taken from Galatians 1, verses 6 through 9. Pastor Cece will continue discussing the various religions that aren't picking up with Baha'i.
Galatians 1 verses 6 to 9. I am amazed that you are so quickly deserting him who called you by the grace of Christ for a different gospel, which is really not another, only there are some who are disturbing you and want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even if we, or an angel from heaven, should preach to you a gospel contrary to what we have preached to you, he is accursed. As we have said before, so I say again now, if any man is preaching to you a gospel contrary to what you have received, he is to be accursed.
Now let us hear from Pastor Cece as he begins part 2 of his message, entitled The Gospel That Isn't.
But what about some of the newer ones? Let me give you one of the newest religions on the planet called Baha'i. Now what Baha'i is it combines 9 major religions synthesized into one. They declare themselves to be the youngest and fastest growing faith. But let me tell you what you'll read in here. It contains one common denominator, that is that you better work your way. It doesn't matter what system you use, you're still going to have to work your way to enlightenment. Grace. But in the midst of all the non-Christian religions, there's an even greater threat in things being taught by those who claim to be Christian. Far from it. My dear friend, and of course who now attends this church, Dr. Howard Thorman, wrote this in a sermon a while ago. He said, the most destructive dangers to the church have never been atheism, pagan religions, or cults that openly deny Scripture, but rather supposedly Christian movements that accept so much biblical truth that their unscriptural doctrines seem relatively insignificant and harmless. But a single false idea that undercuts God's grace poisons the whole system of belief. So let's go through these. And let's go through these, in all fairness, alphabetical, so you don't think I'm picking on your own family's cult. Let's talk about Christian Science, all right? The main book, of course, is this one I hold in my hand, The Science and Health with the Key to the Scriptures. It's written by Mary Baker Eddy. Let me quote 3 quotes out of this book. Chapter 18, verse 2, one sacrifice, speaking of Christ now, however great, is insufficient to pay the debt of sin. Chapter 327, verses 12 and 13, or section 327,